Tonight in the Tastemaster Kitchen, the top 6 face a new challenge. Engage with us throughout the show using hashtag #TheTastemasterSA. Bake more memories with Royal Baking Powder. Last week, it was an emotional experience for the bottom 6 contestants as they competed in the ultimate pressure test to stay in the competition. With only 2 hours to create a plated fine dining dessert and with a double elimination on the cards, the pressure was high. It was Sahel and Luwazi who came up short and were sent home.
The top 6 contestants. Congratulations on making it this far into the competition.
Oh yeah!
From this point onwards, the competition gets tougher and tougher. And at the end of it all, one of you will be crowned the Taste Master.
Up until this point, the competition has mostly focused on sweet treats and desserts, but today this challenge is going a different route because we're focusing on savory pies.
And who doesn't love a good pie? It's such a versatile bake with so many different interpretations all around the world. But essentially, we're looking for a pastry with a savory filling.
The pastry is going to be my tough point. I don't usually make my own pastry.
Achieving the perfect pastry can be a tricky task to master. And today, you have 3 hours to achieve the perfect pie with perfect pastry, a delicious filling, as well as any accompaniments to go alongside.
At this stage of the competition, there is no room for error. By the end of today's challenge, one of you will be going home.
To help you on your way, we've invited a very special guest judge. He is an award-winning chef and has been at the head of multiple top 10 South African restaurants. He's also well known for his use of wild foraged ingredients. It's Chef Chris Erasmus.
After years running Foliage, his award-winning restaurant in Franschhoek, Chris now heads up the kitchen at a boutique hotel in the historical town of Robertson.
I'm Chris Erasmus. I'm the executive chef for the Robertson Small Hotel. The restaurant is pretty much what I used to cook and still cook and love to cook. Wild food, lots of barbecue, lots of fire, lots of smoke, and terroir. Whatever's available in Robertson, which is a lot, goes on the plate. People remember me mostly in Franschhoek, walking with my basket down the main road, picking mushrooms, walking through the forests on all the farms, and I brought that with me to Robertson. Foraging's always been a big part of the way I cook because I grew up in a vegetable garden. And instead of just pulling out weeds and throwing it on the compost heap, there were certain things that I saw, what this is tasty, and marrow, stinging nettle, all these type of things that's really high energy sort of sources that grows wild. So for me to cook with it, it's not just because I think it's a trend or it's cool. It's really a way we are still foragers in our genes. I think our technology has gone past us so fast that we've forgotten, what it is to actually grow your own things in the backyard. The fruit is sweeter. This challenge is all about pies. It's taking a very simple dish with basic ingredients, but can you get it right? So I'm very excited about this, and I'm bringing some surprises with me for the day to see if you guys can use it and who can use it best.
I'm very excited to know someone that's coming in today does a lot of foraging. I feel like I can learn a lot from him.
So I'm going to do an onion and beef pie today. I want some stinging nettle, which I foraged.
Stinging nettle in a pie as an ingredient, I didn't know you could do this. It's almost outrageous.
I'm going to run at full speed the nettle with cake flour.
I've never actually thought of putting a flavor into a pie pastry or any kind of pastry.
We are doing suet style pastry where it's animal fat grated in raw. Now I've twisted that a little bit and used brisket fat, rendered down, hot smoked and cooked.
I'm a big lover of animal fat in my meals. I think they add so much flavor. But in pastry,
It's a no-go area for me. It's not good for your arteries, so I wouldn't use it.
Okay, so this is what we're looking for. Almost like a scondo, just came together. As you can see, it's not too elastic. I've just brought it together. So I'll lightly just form it with my hands, roll it into a little cylinder. This is going into the fridge for about 30 minutes before I roll out. All right, now let's start the filling. So this is a modern technique we are going to do with a very old style of pie. When it comes to onions, we are looking for the Maillard effect, which you get the caramelization on meat. And something that kickstarts that and does it a lot faster is baking powder.
Baking powder, I did not know that you could use baking powder to improve the caramelization of onions. I think that's a tip I'm taking with me.
We're just gonna cram this all into this jar. Okay, I'm gonna juice onions into there. So just to make sure I get double the onion flavor.
This situation that he's got going here with the onions is absolutely blowing my mind.
We drop this into the sous vide for 4 hours.
Wow, another cool and novel concept from Chris here. I mean, cooking onions in their own juices.
Pastry is the start of the show. This is number 2. Good meat. So this I've rubbed with wild mushrooms, black pepper, salt, sugar, a little bit of paprika, coriander seeds. If I bite into your pie, I don't want it to be dry, I don't want it to be bland. And I also don't want to see a million ingredients. Take things that work together and optimize them to their best. Okay, so barbecue's running nice and hot, between 180 and 200 degrees. So I want to go really nice and slow.
I didn't expect anything less from Chef Chris. He just looks like he can have a blast at a smoker for hours.
Onions are done. So as you can see, we've got nice caramelization on it. So I'm going to take some of these onions now and cook it down with the juice, but I want it nice and thick.
I love the way he used that onion. So many different ways. So simple yet so effective.
I'm going to focus on the filling before I actually go and line my pastry. The filling needs to cool down. Do not put a hot filling in cold rested pastry. It's going to affect the shortening. You'll start melting your shortening, your fat, before it actually starts caramelizing in the oven. So you want to go everything from cold. So a lot of top chefs like Heston Blumenthal will tell you nostalgia, like 90%. If you're going to trigger a memory with someone, hit that soft spot. Like for me, beef and onion pie was cold. The winter mornings in London walking to work. And there was a little British pie shop that used to be open at 5 in the morning. So on my way to the restaurant, I could actually get a warm, freshly baked beef and onion pie. So that's what I'm really looking for here today from you guys. If you can get that memory through and put your own twist on it and make it interesting, you got a winner. When you line your molds, make sure the molds are cold, make sure they are greased, make sure there's no air pockets.
When you put your pie in the oven, there's heat, things expand, so you don't want any breaks, you don't want any bubbles, you just want a smooth, clean, uncracked pastry.
I want a really Neanderthal look on my pie, so I'm just going old school. Now I'm going to make a little hole in the top. I'm pushing in my little chimney. That's to release any excess steam so the pastry can actually stay crisp. Okay, off to the fridge.
You can tell he is an absolute professional, just the way it flows in his blood. That's something I want in me, hopefully, one day.
Right, looks like we're winning. Extremely important. You've just combined flour, water, and fat. It's quite a shock to it with heat. So I'm just going to rest this for a bit now, and then we plate.
I really enjoy this style of cooking. It's how my mom taught me to cook, using the simplest ingredients and extracting the most amount of flavor from them.
Okay, so first we're going to get the nettle puree on. Then in a little bag, I have my mom's peach and apricot chutney. This is my nostalgia. I grew up with this stuff in the house, and for the last 20 years as a chef, she's been couriering it to me wherever I work. And then my version of a salad would be wild greens, and lots of it. On here, I'm putting some nasturtiums, some New Zealand wild spinach. I've got some peas.
This is looking beautiful, especially that the herbs are foraged in the forest. It just goes with the whole theme, and I'm loving it.
I've taken that onion juice, cooked it down, and montated it with cold butter. So it's got a nice little thick onion sauce, and that was what the chimney was for.
He poured his gravy into his pie after it was baked. It's like...
And voila, my version of pie and sly. All right, guys, good luck with this pie challenge. Keep your hands cold, keep your pastry cold, let things rest. Get your pastry right. It's game on.
Let's welcome Chef Chris Erasmus.
What a character. He looks like he's just stumbled out of Newland's forest with all his bundle of goodies.
I just hope that it's things that he foraged for us to use today, because I'm really excited. My passion for a healthy lifestyle and sharing it with other people started at a very young age, because I'm surrounded by freshness, so there's always fresh ingredients, and my grandmother would always incorporate fresh fruits and vegetables from the garden into my food, and she would complement a lot of starch with protein. So having grown up like that, I was very inquisitive to find out why is she mixing this with that. So that also motivated me to go and study food, because I wanted to understand the science behind why she's mixing certain things together.
Welcome to the Tastemaster Kitchen, Chef Chris.
Hi, I'm Fritz. Zola. It's always nice to see you. I picked up a few ingredients on my way in. Rivers, forests and fields. So I've got something up my sleeve for you guys.
Thank you, Chris. Contestant, there is one more twist to today's challenge. With your pie, you need to incorporate at least one of these ingredients into your final dish.
But first, let's taste that pie.
I just wanted a chair. I don't want to eat this thing standing. With the sauce, pouring that sauce into the pie, and it's like slowly soaking in. And
These pies are absolutely delicious. That smoky flavor comes through, and that crust, it's just the crowning glory of the entire thing. It's just cooked to perfection.
Man, oh man, like I'm not kidding. This is the best pie I've ever eaten. Hands down.
All of that fat, it's not good. It tastes really good. I'm feeling inspired and I'm ready to plan.
Up next, the Savoury Pie Challenge begins. Who do you think will create the winning bake? Let us know using #TheTastemasterSA. Feeling inspired by the masterclass from Chef Chris Erasmus? Stand a chance of winning a Le Creuset baking hamper. Plus, go into the draw for the grand viewer prize of the Thermomix TM6 Smart Connected Cooking Appliance. To enter, create a bake using royal baking powder. Take a pic of your creation with a product and reply to the competition posts on our social media pages using #TheTastemasterSA. T's and C's apply. Welcome back to the Tastemaster SA Kitchen, whose delicious savoury bake will earn them a mastery pin. Bake more memories with tried and trusted royal baking powder.
Contestants, you have 3 hours to bake the most amazing savoury pie.
I'm so happy that we have 3 hours. Maybe I can attempt a rough puff pastry.
Deelnemers, julle bak vir 'n plek in die top 5, want na vandag se uitdaging gaan een van julle huis toe.
You will also be baking for this. The Royal Baking Powder Pie Mastery Pin.
En saam met die pin gaan die wenner vandag wegstap met 'n splinternuwe Samsung mikrogolfoond.
Once again, a lot to play for. I mean, who could resist a beautiful Samsung microwave? As well as a pin, of course.
The pantry is open to you throughout the challenge. Of course, Chris has also added his foraged ingredients for you to use. Those of you who still have your special ingredient pin may, of course, play that pin, but remember, once you use it, it's done. Would any of you like to play your pin today?
Me.
Jay, what ingredient would you like to request?
Today, I'd like to use my special ingredient pin for some white port, please.
Ooh. Right, Jay, please hand over your pin.
White port has this amazing sweetness to it, and I think it will definitely go well with the beef and stock today.
All right, guys, are you ready to bake more memories?
Yeah! Woo! Your time starts in 3, 2, 1. Get baking!
I think I've got a solid plan. I'm going to take some of that wild watercress and thyme, and I'm going to put it into my flour and really try get those flavors across.
I'm gonna start by roasting off my chicken thigh meat and my chicken breasts with some onion and some white wine. Instead of wasting the chicken skins, I'm gonna dry them nice and crispy, and I'm gonna serve them as garnishes on my plate. I chose this cut because usually chicken thighs, so it's a nice juicy part of the chicken.
I'm using these wild mushrooms as a seasoning for my steak. Today I'm making a beef stock pie with a blue cheese short crust pastry and a side of buttery mash. This is some chuck steak on the bone. I'm doing salt, pepper, some ground coriander, and then of course those beautiful wild mushrooms that Chris brought in for us today. I'm gonna roast it on a very high heat, get a nice sear onto it, then into the pressure cooker to melt down those fats, get it nice and juicy.
Today I'm making a beef and mushroom pie and I'm serving it with a green leafy salad. First thing I'm going to make is my puff pastry because I need to leave it in the fridge to rest and then constantly roll and fold it.
Tando,
yes.
let's see what's happening there.
So I'm doing the dough.
Pie pastry.
Yes.
I noticed that Tando and I are the only ones making puff pastries today, so the pressure's on.
It's a risk because puff pastry requires a lot of folds and chilling in between before it's actually finally ready. And I only have one shot of this because there's not enough time to start again. I'm making a braai chicken, caramelized onion and chorizo pie. And on the side, I'm going to do a nice foraged green salad.
Star anise, check. For my dish today, I'm making a very classic pork mince pot sticker, but I'm going to do a Chris Erasmus spin on it. And I'm going to use these beautiful pungent wild mushrooms that he's brought.
Wat se tipe peper gebruik jy hierso?
Hierdie is 'n Sichuan pepper. So ek wil eintlik net die husk hê vir my chili oil. Die pit aan die binnekant gee vir jou daai gritty, dit is amper soos klippies wat jy eet in jou kos en dit is nie wat ek wil hê nie. Maar ek wil die husk hou want hy gee vir jou daai zing en daai numbing sensation wat die Sichuan pepper.
Cool, so jy gaan nie net vir geur, jy gaan vir teksture ook.
Yes, natuurlijk.
Nice.
It's all about textures and flavors on your palate.
Yeah.
Yeah. This chili oil is mean. It is not for the faint of heart, so use sparingly.
I'm doing a roast chicken, portobello mushroom and bacon pie, but I'm doing a traditional like suet crust as well, so something more traditional.
And you're comfortable with a raw suet, like
yes,
working with that?
I'm about to be comfortable with it, so yeah. So just to make my pastry, I took some flour, I took some suet, and I took some royal baking powder. That and a bit of herbs, a bit of water, a bit of Parmesan cheese.
Previously, never having worked with this suet before, I'm just going to take all Chris's advice and work with it cold, keep it in the fridge, don't let it melt. Follow him to the T.
Which foraged ingredient have you decided to use?
First, I'm thinking of going for the wild pea and then doing that with basil, so turning that into a pesto maybe.
I need to start working on the base of my sauce, so I'm just taking some veg to start it off. Carrots, celery, herbs and spices. That goes into the pan with a little bit of water, the stout and the white port. I'm gonna let that cook down until it's nice and luscious and the flavors are concentrated. I'm using chuck today, and chuck is a very inexpensive meat, but it can give you so much flavor and so much bounty. You know, growing up, that was just what we would do in our home. Take the simplest of cuts of meat and just make it lekker.
Ah, so you got some wild peas?
Yeah.
What's the plan?
So when we have pie at home, it's always mashed potato, mushy peas on the side. So I thought that connection with peas, so I'm thinking of turning it into a nice, vibrant pesto. Maybe swirl it.
Are you
through.
making mash as well?
I'm making mash today.
For my filling, I'm going to use a whole chicken with lemons and garlic and thyme. And with that wild watercress that Chris had bought, I put it in a roasting bag and stick it in the oven whole, knowing that I've got enough time for it to cook up nicely, but also retain that juice.
Okay, you got a couple of foraged ingredients here.
I've already used my wild cress. I've put it into my flour for my pastry.
Nice.
And I've put it into my roast. I'm going to spend some time on my pastry now because that's always going to be the part that I struggle a little bit with. So, wrap puff pastry, it's such a slow process. Folding and rolling it out and resting it, and you have to do this 3 times. It takes a bit of work.
Ron, I feel like this is so much meat.
Don't be afraid.
A beef shin takes a very long time to cook, and if my meat is tough, the judges are definitely going to send me home today. So I am completely reliant on the pressure cooker to do all the magic for me.
This is 7 different foraged mushrooms from 2 different seasons. So the flavor profile is very intense. Are you going to make a stock from it?
Yes, I'm going to rehydrate it, and I'm planning to incorporate that stock into my stew. Today, I want my pie to be a powerhouse of flavor because I know that's what Chris is looking for. Onion, celery, leek, and green peppers, and some carrots. And I also need to brown my meat. My pastry is already made, it's in the fridge. I'm leaving it to sit.
Okay, that's good timing.
I had to do it quick because it needs a lot of folding, so the quicker I get it in the oven, the better it is.
I've just used the pot that I requested using my special ingredient bin. I flambéed it a little bit. It's going to add some sweetness, a bit of tang. It's going to be yum. I definitely need to make sure that that flavor sings today because they're definitely going to be looking for it. I'm not washing the pot. It's not a dishcloth. This is my bouquet garni. I've got some bay leaves, thyme, some aromatics in there. That's going to simmer down into the flavor of the pie without having that grittiness.
Today I'm adding freshly chopped stinging nettles into my suet dough. It really just adds this meaty element to everything, and you know, after tasting Chris's pies in the Masterclass, I just think it's really going to work.
You have 2 hours left. 2 hours left to make delicious savory pies. Come on, guys.
Look at the bouquet garni.
Yeah. He's considering putting some of the wild sage of yours as a prominent flavor.
Beautiful flavor, but I wouldn't just put them in like that. It won't break down soft.
To incorporate Chris's foraged ingredients, I'm thinking of making an oil from the fresh greens and also incorporating some of the other fresher ones. There's one that tasted like lime, and put that in my salad to just bring like a zestiness and a freshness.
Oh, awesome. Someone's using the river mint.
Yes.
So what are you making?
I'm going to make an oil.
I'm glad to see you picking it down because the moisture in that would actually emulsify you with your oil and it'll actually turn it brown.
Ooh,
so I'm glad to see you only using the leaves.
For my oil, I've blended some river mint with some canola oil and just get that blitzing at a really high speed. And the blade from the Thermomix actually helps it heat up. So instead of blanching the greens like you usually would and then blending them, the Thermomix gives enough heat to sort of do the cooking process while blending at the same time.
Chris, so lots of excitement in the kitchen. Anything that's standing out to you as maybe you're worried about?
One thing that's worrying me about a little bit, it's the shin. We've got an hour and 40 odd minutes left. I know it's going in a pressure cooker, but there was enough time to oven braise it. Get more flavour out. The slower you go, the more the cartilage breaks down, and it gives you that sticky mouthfeel. So I'm just a little worried that she waited before they even went into the pan.
Anyone using your foraged ingredients in the most interesting way?
All of them are actually. They're all cooking with it, not just using it as garnish.
Right.
So let's see the end product before I decide. It all looks really good.
Yeah.
This is my dough, which is really nice and soft.
How do you make yours?
Water, salt, flour. I'm using cake flour in this pastry because I don't want a lot of gluten development. I want there to be a little bit of a chew when the judges bite into my pastry, but not so tough that it feels like they're biting into day-old bread.
Tando?
Yes.
Is this a pie challenge or a braai challenge?
I'm just gonna fry and get that char on. I want that flavor to come through in my pie.
How's the dough coming?
Yeah, I've done my 4-fold and my 3-fold.
Girl.
Yeah.
And she's having a braai. Would you like a glass of wine?
Please.
Up next, as the Savoury Challenge continues, who has the best flavour combination? Let us know using #TheTasteMasterSA.
Chicken looks delicious.
Thank you. And that's my pan gravy. And then these are the mushrooms and I'm going to go with the chicken. My chicken thighs have created the most beautiful jus and sauces. I'm adding roasted garlic, I'm adding more herbs, I'm adding caramelized onion, and I'm going to add it to my Thermomix to get it nice and smooth. And then I'm going to strain it, and then I'm just going to reduce the sauce. Typically me, I'm thinking of making 2 sauces today. One is my chicken gravy, and the other one is my creamed mushroom and onion.
All right, guys, 1.5 hours gone. You are halfway.
Halfway, guys. Come on, let's go for it.
That chicken is looking so good. It's got a lovely color to it. I can see that it's nicely cooked. It's got this delicious sauce at the bottom of the pan. I throw that in with my onions and my lemons and my thyme. I need to make a beautiful jus that goes well with the pie.
Samantha?
Hello.
An interesting array of Asian sauces here.
Yes.
Talk us through all of them.
So I've got just a classic old light soy sauce, sesame oil, but one of my favorites is the mushroom soy sauce.
Oh, delicious.
And then this is an aged black vinegar. Because I want a very pungent umami flavor in my mushroom filling, I'm going to add just a dash of that. My in-laws are from Taiwan, and my father-in-law is still today a chef. And majority of the Asian food that I cook at home for my husband and my family, I learned from my father-in-law.
Amazing.
So this is me saying thank you, Yaya. Asian food is a huge part of my everyday life. You know, it was part of my husband's upbringing, and it's now part of my children's upbringing. And I feel like it's just such a warm, comforting food, and it's a cuisine type that I've fully embraced. And I want to show my interpretation of that to the world.
Man, oh man, the smell of this meat fills up the room. Those mushrooms that I used as seasoning have definitely come through. It reminds me of the Sunday afternoons that I have with my dad, on the braai with the potjie. This is gonna be a good one.
The best way I know how to build flavor is making everything in one pan. So I've caramelized my onions, taken them out, fried my chorizo, taken that out. And so the next thing I'm going to do is make my red pepper sauce in there. So I've got that char grilled and then fried in the same pan with all that chorizo oil and the onion, and then blended, put everything back, and everything happened in one pan and no flavor has been wasted.
I entered the competition because I just wanted to prove to myself that I'm actually much better than I imagined, and that there's a platform to not only explore myself as a chef, but also to enjoy what I do, like to truly, truly enjoy what I do. And so I thought the competition would be a great platform for that. My love for baking basically started at my grandmother's house, and that's why I've grown it here. I've made so many of my dishes here. I've practiced here, and it's just always made sense for me. And this is where my whole family is. This is where they get to taste everything. Everyone gets to make fun of me if I make something wrong, or it doesn't make sense, or I burn something. But at the end of the day, I know it's all love all the time, and it's rooted in the fact that it's my grandmother's house.
That looks delicious. The color is really vibrant. Are you happy with it?
I am. I'm happy with it. It's my red pepper sauce.
So that's
Just
going
enough.
in the pie?
In the pie as well.
So you almost also want all that natural stickiness to just...
Yeah.
To compile my filling, I shred up that chicken, I add the jus that has been just cooking beautifully on the side, and the mushrooms that I had cooked, as well as the white sauce, and I incorporate that into my filling.
I'm going to test my dough, and what I'm looking for is for it to slowly bounce back. You don't want it to just be like rigid and stiff, because then it's still too uptight and not rested enough. Dough's looking good. Smush them between your hands to already get that round shape going, and then you want to roll it out on an unfloured surface. You don't want to add any more flour into this little boliki, because then it's going to become tough and springy and not delicious.
My pastry is now rested, and I need to now apply it into my molds. I'm using the same molds Chris did because I want to create that deep dish pie effect.
I just love having a whole pie with that beautiful crust right around and the filling juicy. So I blind bake my pastry just to make sure it's extra crisp and put my pie filling in. After seeing Chef Chris put a little hole into his pie to let the steam out, I'm gonna have a bit of fun today, and I'm using my Le Creuset pie bird to let off some steam while that pie bakes.
So I am pressed for time. This needs to seriously go into the oven right now. So here goes nothing.
You got one pie in the oven, Jay, ahead of the pack. Contestants, final hour. 1 hour to go. Woo! Come on.
No, I just need to add some cream. Tasting the stew, I'm very happy that my meat is perfectly cooked. I just need to toast white bread flour, and I'm going to use it to thicken my stew. By actually browning the flour, you get that peppery taste, that stroganoff flavor into it.
Okay, so the pot stickers are in the making. Can you fold one for us so we can see?
Oh, no pressure. As I start rolling my very first one, here come the judges, and obviously they're gonna want to see how I put these together. And duh, my hands are starting to shake.
Okay, so yours is sort of you fold and pinch.
Fold and pinch.
I'm starting to stress a little bit. It's under an hour to go, and I don't have my pie in the oven. I have to start motoring. The recipe does call for cheese to be put on the top, so it just is a simple layer of grated cheese before I put my pastry on top.
Pie and slide. Nice and colourful.
And I'm incorporating some of the greens that she came with to make my dressing.
Oh.
Which ones? I want
So I'm using the stem of this flower.
The sorrel,
And
yeah. It's nice and acidic.
Yes.
Good. How do you feel about your meat?
I'm in panic mode right now because I realized that I'm running out of time and my stew is not cooled, and if I bake a hot stew, my pastry is not gonna puff up properly, so I'm very worried.
You were obviously very inspired by Chris.
Yes.
You made his pastry, you're using his mushrooms in your filling.
Brownie points are flowing.
I used the chicken, the chicken oils, and I turned it into a jus. And I put a little bit of, what's that stuff called? Whole grain mustard, a little bit of
That spoon
thyme.
came out of nowhere. I don't know if you saw that magic trick.
A little bit of white wine.
And your side?
I'm going to do a little salsa now. I'm going to use the sweet peas and turn it into a salsa.
Okay, well, get the lids on those pies and get them in the oven, yeah?
Right away. Today I've decided not to go for fancy frills. I'm just sealing this pie very rough-handed. But at the end of the day, that's the whole point of a Neanderthal pie.
Okay, so pie's in. What are you getting on with now?
So now I want to do the chutney.
Cool. What sort of style of chutney are you going for? Just like a fruit out of it, or like more sort of African style with spices? And...
I'm going to put some spice in it.
Cool.
Yeah. I like my chutneys quite acidic. Also with the bites of a little bit of chili and definitely a bit of sweetness as well. So to get that balance right is not easy.
My mom used to make a liqueur chutney.
Oh, did she? Okay, well,
no pressure. Mama was good.
I love eating a pie that you hold. I love to see the flakiness and have it just go all over you. And so that's what I'm going for here. I'm gonna make the handheld pies. Keep them moderately shaped. A little circle will do.
Chef Chris, I'm so glad you came by. I'm actually thinking of turning this into a pesto, and I was just wondering if I can use the whole plant, the stem included.
Just feel the plant, because where it's harder, it will be stringy.
Okay.
So try not to use any of the hard bits of the stem.
I'm really hoping that the pesto brings the same feeling as having mushy peas on the side. Mushy peas, mash, a beautiful pie. It's a match made in heaven.
Contestants, 30 minutes, guys. 30 minutes left.
Let's go, you got hungry judges.
I don't have much time, so I taste my filling. It seems fine. I roll the pastry over and I'm just gonna put it in the oven.
Don't know if it's done, but it looks done. I don't want to burn it. Pie's out the oven. It looks good, but there's no way for me to try it.
Throwing my salad together, I've got my baby marrow. I've used some of the foraged greens. They almost taste like if you cut up little pieces of limes. They just bring this zesty and freshness. I also cut up some bocconcini and get that in there.
Time's ticking, and one of the pointers that Chef Chris gave us in his masterclass is to rest your pie before removing them from the tin. But I don't have the time today, so I've just got to have to take it out.
My dumplings are done. I just need to put my sauce together and get plating.
Ooh, they look so cute.
Now that I'm putting everything together, I'm also realizing maybe I have that extra element on the plate that the judges are always criticizing me for. I'm thinking I'm just going to combine my two sauces together.
At this point in time, I'm just waiting until the last moment to remove my pie from the oven because I'm worried that my pastry might not be fully cooked. So let's do or die at this moment in time.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Step away from your stations, contestants.
Well done, everybody!
Time's up. I step back. I've had a great cook.
I don't think that went too well for Nobile. Being a pie challenge, the pastry is one of the things that they're definitely going to be looking for perfection in, so I'm very worried for her.
Next, the contestants present their savoury pies to the judges. Who will have the perfect pastry? Let us know using hashtag #TheTasteMasterSA. Whether it's something sweet or something savoury, bake more memories with a Tastemaster SA and tried and trusted Royal Baking Powder.
Bring on the first pie.
Looking at my pie, I can see that it's cooked thoroughly. I'm just concerned that my pastry didn't puff up well enough. I made a beef and mushroom pie, and I obviously incorporated your beautiful wild mushrooms, and I served it with a salad that has a lot of your greens that you brought us, and yeah, I chose the salad just because it adds lightness to the whole dish.
We took you well out of your comfort zone today. You love sweet desserts and pastries, so we could tell you were struggling a little bit, but are you happy with the flavors that you accomplished?
I feel like I ran out of time because I didn't get to bake mini pies. By baking mini pies, I'll get to taste the puff pastry and check if everything's okay. So because I baked one, I don't know whether it's fully cooked or does it go well with my filling, so that's what I'm concerned about. As Fritz lifts my pie up, I can see that it didn't puff the way that I'd wanted to, and I'm very disappointed.
I love the warm, comforting flavor of your pie. I do think that your pastry wasn't quite successful. You aimed for a puff pastry, and there are no layers, there's no flakiness for me. So I think that fell short.
What I loved about it is the meatiness of it. Like Chris said in his masterclass, when you bite into a piece of meat, you want to feel like you bit into a piece of meat, and still tender.
I loved it. It's delicious. Love the salad, love the freshness of the salad. I think your pastry should have rested a bit longer before it went in the oven. It should have had a little bit more of a when you bite into it, but as a dish, it's delicious. Pastry looks very good. What's in your salad?
My salad is baby marrow, some apple, some bocconcini, and some of the dressing from the foraged greens, as well as some more foraged greens inside of there. And in my filling, I have chorizo, chicken, and caramelized onions.
Lovely. They really do look adorable. They remind me of the pies I used to eat in school, you know, from the tuck shop. So they're really already nostalgic for me, so I'm very excited to try them.
Winning the competition would mean the world to me. It would make me feel like I'm finally validated in a space and that I actually fit into a space, because growing up in the hood and then going to Model C schools, you never really fit in anywhere. It's like you're not bougie enough or you're not hood enough. So there's that confusion, and it's just like you feel out of place. So here, food for me has always been a place where I feel like I'm at home. And so just being validated in a space where I'm like, I want to be here would mean the world to me.
Tando, yo, I'm so looking forward to supporting your new pie shop that you're going to start. The flavors of that pie, everything that you did, every step that you took, paid off big time.
That was really good pastry. It was crunchy from both sides. It was like so many layers of flakiness in it. The filling was beautiful, nice and spicy. You were cooking with a smile on open fire, you can taste it. And I actually really love the dressing that you made. I pick up a couple of different layers with the mint just coming out right at the end, but you still get that sort of really wild herbaceousness from it.
Pie perfection.
It's my turn, and I can't help but feel a little bit nervous. I'm really hoping that all my flavors are going to come together in that one little bite, because it's the only shot I've got. The one closest to Fritz is pork mince with some of the foraged items, a few mushrooms and some nettle. And the one closest to myself is a classic pork mince with cabbage. My dipping sauce is sesame oil, black vinegar, a mushroom soy, and then the chili oil. Please do take care. It's a homemade one and it packs a punch. I'm definitely taking a big risk today by going a little bit left and not making a traditional flaky pie crust. So it is in the back of my mind thinking, oh, maybe you should not have done that. You should have done a Cornish pasty.
I love a pot sticker, and this is a delicious pot sticker. The flavor is intense. The dipping sauces, even the chili sauce, which I was terrified to try, is a wonderful heat. I love the Szechuan in there. What an interesting interpretation of a pie. I think that was very creative.
I love the crunch from the bottom and that soft steamed top and the beautiful fillings. And I think in combination with the texture and the flavors of the chili, very good.
The pastry was beautifully done, and it's not a very easy pastry to make. And then the nostalgia behind it, like the whole idea of why is this a pie to you? And that showed me that, no, this is not just a pot sticker. This was the challenge that you saw, and you took us to your home. Absolutely delicious.
First time I've attempted the suet pastry crust, and I feel I've really nailed it. What I've done, it's a suet crust with the stinging nettle, a little bit inside, and a little bit of parmesan. And then the filling is a roast chicken, mushroom, and crispy bacon filling. A little bit of thyme, and then the chicken skin, and then the chicken pan gravy with a bit of Dijon, touch of Dijon.
I am very excited by these flavors, extremely excited by crispy chicken skin. So please, can we taste it?
I'm super proud to present this to the judges. I've interpreted Chris's ideas and added my own little twist.
It's hearty, like real hearty flavors here. Your pastry came out beautiful. It's crispy, it's still flaky though, which is beautiful. The parmesan in the pastry comes through as smoky. It somehow like lifts like a smokiness in the pastry, which that combination, I might even go and try that parmesan in the pastry. It worked. Beautiful.
Agreed. That parmesan, I thought, what a nice touch, because it just went into a layer of depth, which is where we want you guys to go at this stage of the competition. Delicious.
Thank you.
I'm feeling confident with the flavors of this pie, but that pastry, that is not my strong point.
It's a chicken pie, but a creamy chicken pie with mushrooms, and there's a layer of cheddar, white cheddar on the top, just underneath the pastry as well. So I've put some herbs into my pastry, the wild watercress and rockets, and then I've also made a chutney with these lovely, oh, they're so delicious, the liquats as well, with onion and some mustard, yeah.
So you went lemon roast chicken?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
That filling looks good. I'm happy with that. So you can just see all that chicken and all that goodness. That's a really good home-cooked pie.
Again, that chutney is amazing. It's really delicious. It's such a great accompaniment to this pie. The ratio is a little bit out for me in terms of pastry to filling, like there's a lot of creamy chicken in them, but tasty. I mean, I would love to have this at your house.
Listen, if this is what you make at your house, I'm also coming for a visit. Definitely. I think that there's parts of your pastry that were successful where I can see a bit of lamination and we could feel sort of the flakiness, but then the middle, I think, got into contact with too much moisture, so it didn't quite cook as evenly as I'm sure you would have liked. The pie is really delicious. It's just a shame about the pastry.
I know if I put this in front of my dad, he would just annihilate it, and I can't wait for the judges to taste. Today I've made a beef and stout pie with a blue cheese crust. I've made my basically butter mashed potatoes, and I've made a wild pea pesto on the side.
My mother always used to do mash and gravy with pie. She always knew that the pie wasn't going to be enough, so you got to bulk it up with some potatoes to feed the boys. I like it. It looks family, very inviting.
You used your special ingredient pin today, and you chose port as your ingredient. So how does it feature in your dish?
It formed the base of my pie filling, as well as in the gravy. That slice of pie comes up, and the first thing I notice is that my pastry is way too thick. I'm so concerned that it's either underbaked or soggy. Yikes.
Miss my mom. This was like my mother cooks. The only criticism I'm going to give you is, I think you wasted your pin in the port. It wasn't necessary here. The fact that you did that pesto is beautiful. It's zingy. You can taste it's a wild pea. Absolutely delicious.
Jay, it was absolutely delicious, hearty, warming. That mashed potato, I want to swim in it. Loved the gravy with it. The only criticism from my side is I think that your pastry was a little bit thick, but man, the flavor, the soul in this dish, delicious. Well done.
Up next, who will win the mastery pin and who will be going home?
Contestants, you truly blew us away today. Please give yourselves a round of applause. We tasked you with making a delicious savory pie with an accompaniment, and you all definitely ticked the box. And it is time for us to announce the winner of today's challenge, as well as who will be going home.
I want to thank you guys for the amount of love you put into everything today and the enthusiasm that you put in with the curveball that I threw you. You actually showed a bit of your soul. You made it honest, you made it about yourselves, which is a big thing for me. So obviously we have to announce somebody today. It was very tight. A lot of things shined, but one person stood out, like way above the rest of them. The pastry was perfect. The flavor combinations was perfect. It was interesting, it was fun, and watching you cook was even more fun. So the winner of the Royal Baking Powder Savory Pie Mastery Pin is...
I finally won a challenge. We did it!
And of course, Thando, you are the winner of a brand new, beautiful Samsung microwave oven.
The microwave, super happy. I guess God is sending me signs to start moving out. I've got a microwave now. Maybe I can save towards like a kettle, cutlery, fridge. Just small steps.
Another congratulations, Thando. Well done. We're proud of you. But as you all know, this is a competition, and for it to move forward, someone will have to go home. So I'm going to ask the bottom two contenders to please step forward. Mobile? Megan?
Yep, here we go. I saw this coming. It's time.
I know that I'm going home. My pastry didn't puff up, and it's a pastry challenge. You're definitely going home.
Mobile, your pastry crust was not ideal. You didn't plan ahead, you didn't have a sample to taste, and that, at this point in the game, is critical. Megan? As your dish proceeded, we were super excited roasted lemon chicken flavor. Beautiful. Felt like the addition of the cheese sauce and the cheese component took a lot of that away. Your pastry crust was uneven and unimpressive. The next person who will be going home is Megan. Megan, I think we can all agree that this was an excellent experience for you as an individual. Not at any point until now did your lack of technical training and exposure and experience count against you because you bake with passion. You represent your family well, and we wish you all the best.
I am so heartbroken, but at the same time, I'm so proud of myself. It's been a journey, but I've loved every moment.
Next Friday, it's a new challenge in the Tastemaster kitchen with only Samantha, Kyle, Ngobile, Tando and Jay left in the running. Joining the judging panel is chef and TV host Lenswe Bengu.
Another feel-good production.